Hello and welcome back. We're going to be dealing with some more collision detections, and we're going to do a quick way to do some collision detections in WPF. But first, we got to go over a few concepts regarding collision detection. Um, in that, you want to make sure what we have here. We have two images that represent something that would be in WPF. It could be a character. Okay, let's bring some characters in here from online just to kind of bring the point home. So let's say if I had this character here and okay, so I found these characters online. Oops, okay, that one, and then I found this character online. Just to make the point clear. Alright, so I have these two characters. And normally, you want to see if the character intersects with one thing or the other. Okay, so I have that one and I have this one here. Now, when you're dealing with these characters and they're moving around in your game, a lot of times you may think it'd be easier for you to just take this box that the character exists in, because there's a box that it exists in, and then determine whether those two boxes intersect, and then therefore you have a collision. That is one way you could do it, but the best way to do it is not necessarily on the image itself, but onto another box that you actually create. We'll call those rects because WPF calls them rects. So let's say what we're going to be doing is we're going to have an image, and then we're going to create another image in code that follows that image around like that. So I have this box on top of this image, and then whatever it hits, I'm going to have a box on top of that image. So all my calculations will be done on the box, not on the image itself. Therefore, I can have a box that says, okay, only when the hand is hit. So I can make my box this big, and it follows wherever the hand is. I can make the box big enough to where the collision's only for the head. So I can go like this. Right, so it follows the head around. And or I could just make a box that's about the size of, not a box, but a rectangle that's about the size of the character itself. And let me just take that out so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So now the box is here, and it covers the character. Now, this box right here actually represents what's going to be done in WPF. When I click off of this, you don't see the box, but the box actually is there, and it's following the character around. So it's almost like I grouped these two, and then I move this around, and then as you can see, I still have my box there. That box is still there, even though I moved the character. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in WPF. So this is where we'll start off. Let's look at this WPF that I already have set up with the character movement here. There is no collision detection so far. I just have my mouse down, I have my key up, and I have my timer that's running everything, that's checking what keys were placed in, and it's looking for the left key, the right key, up and down key. Over here I have my delegates over here that are running every time the key is up and every time the key is down, and over here I have some default directions, so when I change the directions I can easily go back to default. Over here on the key down, it starts the timer, and on the key up it stops the timer. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's run this and just see how it looks. If I run this and I just move my thing around, as you can see, it doesn't really detect anything. It's just he's able to move, and you can see the box that we were talking about, and this is one of the reasons why I don't want to crop this, so you can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about, that this guy is not cropped, so therefore the collision detection is going to be on the edge of this image itself. So let's look at some quick way we can actually make this guy and this box here detect whether they collide or not. And if we look over here in the XAML, this one right here I have called player A, as you can see it here, and over here I have this one called box. So this is a box, this is a player A. I have these generically called hit me copy because I just copied them all. So let's go behind the scenes and start adding our collision detection. So I'm going to create a function that I'm able to use later, and it will determine whether I have a collision or not. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing this function called intersects with. And it's not going to take anything, but it's going to return a Boolean value. And then I want to go ahead and end that function. And now I'm going to go. Now we're going to do what we were talking about before, creating the box around the character itself. And the best way to do that is to use directs. And this is supposed to be as Boolean. So go ahead and correct that. So I'm going to make a rect, not a rectangle, but a rect. So I'll just go ahead and dim that. After I create the rect, now I can go ahead and I can set the location of the rect. And that is going to equal player A. And we already showed you guys where I had player A, and then I'm going to get this point to screen, and I'm going to give it a point. Alright, now what I want to do is I have the location now to this rect, this invisible rect. The location will be set at the character's location. So I got his location, and now I'm setting that rect at that location. I also want to go ahead and set the size of the rect to the size of my character. And I'm basically going to give it to player A's width, and I'm going to give it player A's height. Now what I want to be able to do is I'm going to create my second rectangle. So far what we have is we have a rect that's following our player around. Now we want a rect that's actually going to match this box here. So we're going to go over here, just like in our thing over here, our demonstration. We have a rect following one. Now we want a rect of the box itself that it's going to interact with. Alright, so let's do the next rect. Copy this, paste this. Or I can just call this rect box. Location will equals the box, and this will equals the box. And I gotta make sure that I change this name here. So now we have two rects, one for the player and one for the box. Now I want to go ahead and dim whether they are intersecting or not, and here's where it becomes very easy. I'm just going to say does intersect. And then that's going to be as a Boolean because this is what it returns. And I'm going to say my rect dot intersect, and this is what we get with the rects, this property here that checks whether a rect has intersect with something or not. So we're going to check to see if this first rect, which I can call, instead of my rect, I can call this player A rect. Therefore, that'll make it a lot easier to understand. So I'll say if player A rect intersects with my box, which is a rect also. You can make your naming convention a little bit better than mine, but you get the point. Now I'm just going to return it whether it hasn't intersected or not. Return, because that's what this will give me. Alright, so now let's do a test. Let's test this out. Every time the key is pressed, I want there to be some sort of indicator that it is over, they have intersected or not. So I'm going to say console right line. Let's say we can call this function here, because it's going to return it. It's going to return whether that is true or not, whether it has intersected or not. So I'm going to say that and just return that. We don't even add anything else really. Alright, so let's run that. And now I'm moving the... Oh, we got a problem. Hold on. This right here would be an issue. There we go. Alright. Let's test it again. Alright. Okay, there we go. Now, if you look down here, it says hit equals false. So it's checking. It's equals false. So I haven't hit the other box yet. But as I go over here, you'll see oh, nope, we didn't get true. Oh, did we get true? I think we may have gotten true. Let's go down here. Yeah, we got true. Okay. At first it was starting to scare me, but now we have true because all of these were, it was too high up. Let me clear all this out and then we can see it a little bit better. Alright, so right now it's true. And why is it true? Because this box extends all the way out to here. If I go up a little bit, you see now it's false. And if I go down a little bit, you'll see it's going to get right back to true. Meaning this box is intersecting with this box at this point because we can't see the white line. But if I go up here to these bricks, you'll see that white line actually does exist that far down below the character. If I want to make it to where it actually intersects with the character, you will now see the advantage of me using a rect, because I don't actually have to touch the image itself. All I have to do is go over here to the size. I go to the size. So I want the width in half and I want the height in half. And now when I do that, even though the image still is as big as it is, as you can see, I'm directly over that box and I haven't touched it yet. Until he actually gets halfway in there, as you can see here, it is true that I have touched the box. So maybe I don't want the height in half. You know, maybe I want the height a little bit less than that, or something like that. Or maybe the height minus 10 pixels, and maybe, I'm sorry, the width minus 10 pixels and the height minus 10 pixels. Let's see what we get. And you can kind of gauge this for yourself. Just run your application and kind of see where it is. Yeah, he's touching there. Is he touching now? Yeah, he's still touching. He's still touching. Yeah, so he's still touching. So we might have to go a little bit more than 10 pixels. Let me go 25 pixels. Go here. We run this. He's not touching right now. He's touching now, but not here. So we can go even more than that. We can go 35, let's say. So now he's over here. He's not touching, not touching, not touching, is touching. There we go. Now I can put an if statement in this. I can do anything I want. If this If that, then if they collide, then let's just make it invisible. Equals windows.collapse. So let's see what happens now. Yes, he's done. But if you notice, it's still hitting the box, right? As you see down here, still hitting the box. So what we would have to do is we would have to not just get rid of the box, we would have to get rid of the rectangle or stop the collision detection on that rect that we still have there. And that kind of shows you exactly what we're talking about, that even though you can't see the rect, it is still an area there inside of the game. So I hope this wasn't too convoluted for you, and hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit. Talk to you later.